What's going on, guys? Welcome to the third installment, I believe, of the beginner's guide, where this time we'll be taking Florges and discussing its use competitively with you. As in previous episodes, we'll be going over stats, move pool, typical sets you'll see, and also I kind of put together a for and against chart, which is largely my opinion of using or for drafting Florges or any other Pokemon in this series. So yeah, one thing to kind of note before we get into it. I mean, this series is very much gauged towards low tier Pokemon. So if you're kind of drafting point style or tier style, it's Pokemon that won't cost you much. It won't be one of your high tier picks, but will still have say a good effect with your team. It won't just be a bench warmer or anything like that. So jumping into it. Sorry, my voice went a bit crackly there. Jumping into the stats, there's not much to note apart from the special defense and maybe even the special offense. Typically, this thing will be run specially defensive. It counters a lot in the competitive landscape. Some things I'll get onto which it really struggles against. But yeah, typically it's a specially defensive wall. It can take a lot of different hits. It resists fighting. It can take fire hit. There's loads of water hits. It can take U-turns, punish the opponent. It can do quite a lot defensively. It's extremely limited offensively, with only 65 base attack. 68 base defense leaves something to be desired. Something to be desired as well. But that special offense stat for a wall. That special offense stat is actually quite impressive, and the speed. I mean, a lot of its stats. Obviously, stats are equal across Pokemon in terms of the amount of points that go into those Pokemon. Some not, and some are. So you'll mainly see one or two stats boosted, and the others. Two fairly average and two pretty low stats. That's typically the way it works, unless it's a legendary, i.e. you got base 100s all round, or like an Arceus with base 120s. So, yeah, that's really it to note on the stats. It's a good specially defensive wall. It can also hit a little bit hard on the special side, but everything else is a little bit average, and on the physical side, it's extremely. Yeah, you don't really want to run anything physically on this thing. Typically, I mean, I think people, when they draft it competitively, do like to run a lot of physical defense, just in case it needs to take a physical fire move or something along those lines, because naturally it's quite bulky, and it won't really need to take that many hits specially, I guess, or it can take more hits specially, sorry. And also it gets one thing I'll move on to, so we'll go into it now, but move pool, it does get reliable recovery in where is it? I don't think it's on here, but it does get, oh yeah, it is, it's on the defensive calm mindset, but it gets synthesis, which heals it up. It also gets wish, so it can pass wishes. So jumping into the notable moves, you'll see only 3 offensive moves there, which are really all it gets. So it gets Moonblast, Energy Ball, and Psychic. So it's extremely limited in terms of what it can hit. But again, things that it's immune to, or it's not effective against those moves, then it hits quite hard on the special side anyway, so it will cause an impact. You get Wish Heal Bell, so it's a great support Pokemon. Wish Heal Bell Aromatherapy. It can be run as a cleric. It can run as a it can mainly run as a cleric, really. Especially defensive cleric, I guess, is probably its best set, i.e. defensive support. And then the last 3 moves: Calm Mind, Light Screen, and Psychic. So it can run screens. It can run the Calm Mind set, which is one of the most notable ones. And yeah, kind of jumping into the typical sets. As you can see, they're both defensive. You don't want to run this thing offensive. You can if you want, but you probably won't have that good a time with it. It's a little bit frustrated with the limited options that it has. Defensive support, probably 75% of the time it will be run as this. Wish, Protect, Moonblast, Aromatherapy, keeps itself healthy, can still hit hard. It heals off Paralysis, Toxic from other Pokemon. And yeah, max HP, max physical defense I've put on there because, like I said, it has a lot of special presence, so it doesn't really need as much investment unless you're literally going up against a specially offensive team, and without a steel type, a poison type, or even a say a fire type, this thing will put in a lot of work. Then the second set, which is a limited option because it can't really do much. It gets walled a lot if it's run offensively, but a Calm Mind set. Perhaps if you're thinking more late game, you want to bring this thing in, click Calm Mind and nothing can kill it, that kind of thing. Calm Mind, Moonblast, Synthesis for recovery, and either Aromatherapy or Hidden Power Ground to hit poison, steel and fire types. So like I said, it's got a lot of special offense, so it does have viability in running special moves. Max HP, max defense, typical EVs there. You can run, say, a bulky offensive set, so max HP, max special offense, or max special attack, max special offense, max special attack to hit things hard as you can. And yeah, typically Leftovers, Bold, and Flower Veil. So that's the other thing about abilities. It's in my chart next, but Flower Veil and its other ability, which I can't remember, have no competitive use in singles. I can't remember what they do exactly. Perhaps I should have looked that up before doing a video trying to help you in drafting Florges, but just to note that they don't have any singles use whatsoever. So we'll move on to my chart for and against drafting Florges. As you can see, I mean, these are my views, so I personally don't really get on with Florges as much. The first one that I note was it's very passive. It wishes, it protects, it allows opponents to gain momentum against you, especially as you can bring in like a bulky steel type against it. You can set up rocks, you can Brave Bird in Skarmory's case, you can do a lot of things. So yeah, it's extremely passive. In terms of the 4 side though, so we'll talk about some 4 before I go into how negative I believe this Pokemon is. There are limited fairy types in the game as general, because they have only come out in 6th gen. So yeah, I mean, the other ones you get Sylveon. I can't really think of many off the top of my head, but there aren't. With Deontay is another one. You don't get many of them, and you will just get dragon spammed if you don't have a fairy. I've been through it. I've faced a Hydreigon, a Latios, and a Salamence when I had no fairy, and that was destruction. Another one is reliable recovery, something you always want with a wall of some kind. It's always nice to stay healthy. Obviously, take more hits. It can keep others without reliable recovery healthy. So my last 2 videos were on Seismitoad and Jolteon, both of which don't get any kind of reliable recovery. So being able to wish pass into those, which probably would go well with Florges, to be honest. But yeah, you can wish pass into those, keep those healthy, and anyone else on your team that doesn't really get any recovery as such. In terms of going into the against though, like I said, from my perspective, it's not my kind of Pokemon. It's very passive, but it's very much shut down with Trick and Taunt, so it relies on status moves, relies on Protect. It relies on those kind of moves because Moonblast, especially with a bulky steel type, you can't really do much. So you can trick it a Scarf and it's pretty much shut down. You can Taunt it and it's shut down for 3 odd moves. So that's an extreme downside, and especially the speed. If you have a fast Taunter like Whimsicott, you can seriously close this thing down. So it's always nice. Abilities have no use in singles. It's always nice having a decent ability like Excadrills, Samrush, and also Mold Breaker, 2 great abilities in singles which make it a good Pokemon. And obviously Excadrill super effective against Florges. So on a note, that's it's a good thing to mention. And also typical switch-ins, bar a fire type, a poison and steel, both of which are immune to toxic, one of Florges' most used moves in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, you can't really, with Florges, you can't do anything to things that wall you, apart from Psychic on a poison type, so I guess you wouldn't want to toxic it. But I mean, yeah, it's not all that scary if you're in with a poison type and it's got Psychic. To be brutally honest, you can EV enough into your Weezing to take the hit and then kill it off with Sludge Bomb, that kind of thing. There was one thing. Oh yeah. I have played Florges a few times against it. One of which I didn't prep for it, and it destroyed me. If you don't prep for Florges, if you don't have a steel type, if you don't have a poison type, you will seriously get shut down by this thing. It's so hard to beat without a super effective move or an answer for it. So seriously, if you see it on an opposing team, prep for it. And prep good for it, because it can really be effective if you don't have answers for it as such. And yeah, look ahead to matches coming up and ensure you have an answer for it, because ensure you have an answer for any fairy really, because they are so good in this format. They shut down dragons, they shut down dark types, and fighting types, 3 very overly used types in this game. So that's really it on Florges. I haven't really got much else to say. Like I said, give it a go. See if it suits your style. It suits kind of a stally style of play, which isn't my forte, I guess. But yeah, we'll jump into the battle now, and I will be back in a second. Right, guys. So we got the team. In essence, this was really thrown together, I guess. It's really, in these battles, I just want to highlight how effective Florges is, I guess, and focus less on the other Pokemon. So one thing I'm doing it in the UU tier, because I didn't really want to tempt myself into picking a lot of OU threats that are really going to steal the show from Florges, which is kind of what happened in the Jolteon video, I guess. So I'm going to do it in its own tier, and kind of hope for the best. So we'll start finding a match. So yeah, we've got a Mega Aggron, we've got a Crobat, we've got an Electros, we've got an Arcanine, and a Blastoise. So this is actually a team I saw in the thread from where it helped me build this team. I wish I read more about it. I'm gonna guess a Porygon Z lead, because I remember reading that. It could also just lead its Aggron, which I'm just gonna lead Blastoise. It could just lead Sableye to get a burn off. It leads its Gyarados, so that could be detrimental for us. Let's go for a Dragon Tail in case it goes for a Dragon Dance, which it does. So we missed the Dragon Tail. Oh wow! If he goes out into Sylveon, then so be it. As long as this Gyarados is off the field, that's the idea. You'll probably just want to hit me now and get some damage off before. I can't believe I missed the Dragon Tail turn 1. This thing's probably going to want to toxic something or burn something, so I'm simply going to go out into my Arcanine, predicting a burn. I reckon that's what he's going to go for. So he does. We get the Flash Fire boost, and now we can fire off. What do we? He's probably got his own Darmanitan coming in. So do I pull a double? Yeah, let's go into Aggron. He's not going to Will-O-Wisp again. He could just Toxic. Oh, he goes for a knockoff. He's going to want to get off a Will-O-Wisp this time, so we're playing around this Sableye. This time we're just going to fire off a big Flare Blitz. If he goes out into his Darmanitan, then so be it. I do have a Blastoise and also an Aggron, which isn't... Oh, we straight off killed the Sableye. So we obviously probably went for an offensive move there to catch a switch, but... he probably went for knockoff. So he goes into Sylveon this time. No idea what. I guess it's because he knows I'm offensive. I could just fire off another big Flare Blitz, but I really do need this for the Aggron. Let's go into Crobat. I don't have much to hit him with, and he goes for a Psy Shot, which is beautiful. Did 56%. Do I fancy Toxic in this thing and wearing it down? I do have an Aggron, so I'd rather just Brave Bird. He outspeed this thing. Is this Scarf Sylveon? Scarf Sylveon. Wow. Mega Evolve. He's probably gonna. Is he gonna anticipate a heavy slam? I'm gonna go for an EQ. Catch something. So we catch the Aggron on an EQ. This is gonna do a lot. Crit Sturdy. Ooh. And he's not Mega Evolve, so. Well, I'm not. I don't think I'm max speed actually, so. So you got something that's flying. Let's just go for a heavy slam. He may be max speed and he may want to go for an EQ of his own, so he sets up rocks. perhaps he thinks they're more valuable for an Arcanine. I do still have my Blastoise, which is nice. The only problem is I haven't got Florges in yet, so that'll be my next play. So perhaps I actually just wanna. So he U-turns. He's probably gonna go out into his Gyarados. I did just want to sack this thing off to a Flare Blitz so I could get Florges in. That's fine. He goes out into his Gyarados. He might just want to Dragon Dance on me. I have no phasing moves now. Let's go for a big heavy slam. See if we can get a paralysis on this. He goes for an EQ. It does barely anything. We get a heavy slam off. Resisted. Can we get a paralysis? No. So this time we're going to go into the Stoice. See if he wants a Dragon Dance, which he does. And now I probably just want to go for Rapid Spin, actually, knowing that. No, let's go for Dragon Tail. So we leave the EQ and we actually land Dragon Tail, which is nice. And he goes out into his Darmanitan, so probably another U-turn. Jobby. Let's go for a Scald. Or we should have probably Rapid Spin, actually, because Summon's going to outspeed us, which means Rocks are staying up. But I do have lefties on the floor just for when it comes in. Intimidate, can we get a burn? That'd be beautiful. Nah, so we get no burn. He's probably just going to attack, so I'm just going to go for another Scald. So he Waterfalls, which is fine. Time to go out into Florges and click Calm Mind, and it's simple as that. Yeah, because Sylveon's a thing, so let's go straight for a Psychic. So he Dragon Dances, use me as setup fodder, which obviously isn't good. I do have E-Speed on my Arcanine. Think I could probably take a hit with this thing. Let's go for a Psychic again. The Waterfalls are 61, so I think with the problem is with Florges for me is I can't use him effectively. Let's go for another Psychic. So, and also in these battles you don't make smart plays because you want to make the most of them, which is unfortunate. Let's go into Arcanine this time, fire for big E-Speed. I don't know if Gyarados gets tackled yet, but there's only one way to find out. He's probably going to predict the E-Speed, but we don't even kill him. So, and he lands a Stone Edge. Looks like it's going to be one of those days, guys. It's going to Electros this time. If he was Mega, then you would have got Mold Breaker, but let's simply go for a Volt Switch. Bait in the Darmanitan. And then we've probably lost at this point because Florges has gone, but it's such a shame that I didn't actually get to show Florges off. But like I say, it's read more into the actual stuff that I said before the battle, because you may take something away, and some people may not even watch the battle, probably watch it for a joke. But yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, especially with the calm mindset, you don't realistically get a chance to calm mind up on anything really, unless it's a Hydreigon or something. So you can see we're going to lose this game. We're going to 10%, and we have absolutely nothing to hit this thing. So there we go. We go down to a loss, which is fine. I don't play much in UU tier, and like I said, it's a Florges team. But yeah, look, guys, I do appreciate you watching. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. I think we got an enjoyable one coming up, more so than probably this one. Because Florges, I don't have much to say about it that's good, so I thought, let's get it out of the way and then we can move on to better things. Yeah, show your love on that like button. I do, like I said, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.